Alright guys, we are here and just waiting on Lust to load into the game, and we are ready to start. We have Team Lust, which has quite a few big names, playing up against Claws of Attack 9 as a reference to Warcraft 3, and of course my co-caster with me again this game is going to be Niz. Niz, are you here, buddy?
I am here, I'm ready.
Alright,
This
well,
is,
awesome. I'm excited. This will be really good. Obviously we have Sna, like not actually the team, but Sna the player. I know it gets kind of confusing. They love to do that. Infinity, a decently well-known player, as well as Lust. They've never had any large experience like outside of like the semi-pro scene in North America, but as far as like competitively in the North American scene, these are definitely players that you're going to need to beat if you want to get anywhere. So this is going to be an important match for Claws of Attack, and honestly for Infinity this is kind of their match that they're looking at, and they're like, we got to beat this team, and we're into semis. We're only one game away from playing for $100. So important match on both sides here. But we do see Lycan, and
this is actually the round of 8.
the round of 8. Okay, never mind. So yeah, so good. Yeah, good. Round of 8. Well, yeah, this is the round of 8. So yeah, if they win this, then they're in semis, and then all they have to do is win one more to play for the $100. So. But Tinker and Lycan banned out by the Radiant team. I honestly don't blame on that. Tinker, a little bit of a, why would you ban that if your first pick Radiant side? Well, they may not have a player that plays it, like we were talking about last game about the Lycan on the Dire side. But also it's just a strong hero in general, and against a team that you're probably more aware is the more experienced team. You want to make sure that if you don't want that hero in the game, or that's not part of your strategy or part of your contingency, and it's a powerful hero, you probably want to remove it straight away. But they'll pick up the Jakiro first, which some people would say is dumb, some people would say is questionable, but I think it just doesn't show anything yet, except for that they're pushing potential, and Viper and Enigma are going to be the follow-up from 7. Interesting decision there. Enigma on the Dire side is incredibly strong because you can access the jungle camps as well as ganking mid easier. Also, as Zai is known, you can easily deny the offlane creeps and then use those etalons to farm the ancients. So even if your jungle gets shut down, you have a option to get farm. And of course Viper, lane dominator, we've talked about it both of our last casts, and it's just a strong hero. It dominates your lane, and he's a hell of a hero to deal with in a team fight.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I'm actually a little surprised to see them pick up that blueberry so early in the draft, but he is really strong on Dire side. He's definitely a lot stronger on Dire than he is on Radiant. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little interested to see how this draft is going to pan out. How the Radiant side, Claws of Attack, is going to respond to that Enigma, and they do so with the Doom, which we've seen bans quite often in the first 4. So we're actually going to get to see him in a game here, so we can see. I think it's the first game we've actually seen him.
He usually gets banned out most of the time. We did see him yesterday, I believe, at least once. But yeah, I definitely agree. He's a good answer to the Enigma. The one caveat to that is it's kind of becomes a game of positioning between the two, who gets their blink first, and then once they both have blinks, back to that whole positioning game. But we will see the Batrider banned out by Claws of Attack as well as the Invoker. Definitely strong heroes in their own rights. Not going to really have much time to touch base on that. I will just note that the Tidehunter and Silencer, both teamfight oriented control heroes, are getting banned out by Team Lust, and they will immediately pick up the Wraith King, and that's one of those heroes that, again, like the Viper, you just can't really kill him. And if you do focus him, then the other aspects of that team is gonna control you and win the game. I.e., if they have a sniper or anything in the background that can just stay there and focus you while you're dealing with the Viper and Wraith King. It's annoying. It's an annoying strategy to deal with, is basically what I'm getting at. Just because of the targets that you can't focus, but you almost need to because of what they bring to the table.
The Enigma Black Hole also does the same thing too, right? It almost acts as a big body. Just kind of weird to think of it that way because Enigma is kind of squishy, but the Black Hole, because of the effect it has on space.
LOL.
Didn't mean the pun, but yeah, the effect it has on that zone of the fight is effectively like a big body. It just makes it so you can't come through that part of the fight to get to something like a sniper.
Yep. But I do like the Witch Doctor here because obviously that Cask until Enigma gets BKB is going to complicate Black Hole. You have to wait until Cask is done bouncing. Skywrath Mage will be the follow-up, so most likely a Wraith King carry here, or Wraith King core, and we'll see Skywrath and Enigma as the supports. But again, to my point, the Witch Doctor cask very good against Enigma. But my other point is that if you know how to target your Death Ward, which is Witch Doctors, you don't right click while you're Death Warding, you shift right click, and it changes which target you're focusing, can be really useful because say you're all of a sudden, you start the fight and your Death Ward's focusing Wraith King, well I'll just switch it to Enigma. And the range on Death Ward I believe is 900 as far as the attacks go out. And obviously you have to have vision. But still, if he can target that well and focus the targets properly in the fights, I think the Witch Doctor pick is really going to pay off. And they're going to have to pick up something here that, honestly, I feel like they need to tank up a little bit. The Jakiro and the Witch Doctor are pretty squishy, and honestly Doom with his 0 armor and relatively low strength gain compared to other strength heroes is going to be susceptible to a lot of the damage coming out from Lust. And you know, something like a Bristleback or just something big and tanky in the front lines, and I'm kind of generalizing, but Juggernaut, okay, I kind of like that. He is a good front-runner hero. It's hard to kill him with the spin active, and the only thing that Juggernaut has to worry about is the Ancient Seal to prevent him from getting anything done. And on top of that, you can Omni Slash to cancel the Black Hole, so that's definitely very useful.
Yeah, it's definitely a plus.
10 seconds
I'm
to
a little
go.
confused with where this Radiant
5
draft is going.
seconds.
I much rather prefer the Dire draft, but maybe that's a good thing for the Radiant. Maybe
Reserve time.
you know, because I don't know where they're going with the draft. Maybe that means the Dire side doesn't know, or maybe they're going to do something to catch us off guard. But
That's the hope.
it's weird.
I feel like in this situation, I agree with you completely. And if Claws of Attack is in the same boat as us, where they don't really know what's going on with their draft, it's going to be a very painful uphill battle to win this game. However, if they're sitting in that seat and going, all right, guys, this is how we want it to go, and these are the heroes that they're looking for, and they have some sort of pre-subscribed strategy that they've worked out and played with,
10
honestly, it
seconds
could
to go.
work out really well, because they have the tools, not necessarily the standard tools, but they definitely have the tools to deal with what Lust is bringing to the table. And Puck will be the final ban. TA was the final ban for Lust, and I kind of agree with that. Honestly, there's a lot of damage TA could do, but at the same time, I feel like honestly they had a lot to deal with a TA. So the last two bans kind of interesting in my opinion, but we'll see where Lust decides to go with this, because they get the first play here. They get to kind of go out on the field and say, this is what we're going to do. This is, you're going to see it and you're going to be able to respond. But
10
there is also
seconds
some
to
power
go.
in that, especially when you're the team that is arguably the more experienced
5 seconds.
team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the last pick is, but
Reserve
you know,
time.
maybe the Radiant side, Claws of Attack +9, their whole strategy was the fact that they were going to pick Juggernaut, who's effectively the Blade Master from Warcraft 3, and they're going to get him Claws of Attack +9, which is pretty much a GG if you've ever played Warcraft 3. That's like absolutely unstoppable, but I don't know, it's interesting. Well, we have to kind of wait and see. I think the TA and the Puck bans were pretty standard. You know, the Puck maybe not, but I don't know.
I definitely agree with you. The thing about the Dire side that I really like is it does not everything, but it does everything you need to do to win the game, which is it controls team fights, it can take towers, and it can go late. And they're going to pick up the Prophet, and that's just going to add another layer to that strategy. It's going to give them a little bit more push potential to take towers, like I was mentioning before. But also now they have the global presence as well as the ability to apply split pressure. And Drow Ranger is going to be the response here. And a very interesting decision. That was a little bit premeditated. Obviously, they knew they wanted to go for something like that. So we'll see how it works, because they spam that pick. And I'm hoping for Claws of Attack that they have something premeditated here, that they're not coming into this just picking 5 heroes without any sort of, you know, precognition as to what those 5 heroes are going to accomplish at the different stages of the game.
Yeah, I mean, there was no hesitation on that Drow pick. They knew that that's what they were going with. You know, maybe they didn't know what they were doing at the start of the draft, but at the end it definitely seemed like it. Or maybe this was the plan all along. But yeah, we are going to see a farming Wraith King, which is actually, we typically just see a support Wraith King. You know, I think only a few teams are actually running carry Wraith King now. But,
well, for the Radiant side, Claws of Attack +9. We are going to have Sleeping Joey on the support Witch Doctor. Thicket on the support Jakiro. Ace on the believe farming. Looks like maybe even a mid Drow Ranger. We have Juggernaut, played by Locarn, with boots first, most likely in off lane. And finally the Megaphone as Doom in the bottom lane, most likely their farming role in the bottom lane.
On this Dire side, we have Team Bananas, although
They're
the
Team
brackets,
Lust.
they are Team Lust. And playing the Wraith King is Seven. Lust himself is playing the Skywrath Mage. Infinity is on the Viper, most likely going to be mid with that. Sna is on that big
Battle
Blueberry,
will
the Enigma.
commence in
And
30
Degenerate is on the
seconds.
Furion, most likely in that off lane.
And the Radiant team, did go up into the Dire team's jungle. Didn't really do much besides spot out the Wraith King there. Bunch of pings went out, but nothing else has really happened yet. Ace does get a ward to go ahead and throw up in the top lane, and I think this is a smart decision. It's going to make it really hard for them to gank the Radiant side, and it already is hard to gank the Radiant side
Let's get
because
this far
there's
slowly.
only this space on the high ground past this line up here that you can stand without the tower hitting you. It's actually right up to this bush, but my point is that on the Dire side, you can already see that the distance is much greater as to where you can set up ganks. So the Radiant already, Drow Ranger, going to be exploiting the safety of her lane, and with that ward, it's going to be almost impossible to gank her. We're going to have to hope that she gets a lot of farm for Claws of Attack for them to succeed, because she's one of the critical damage dealers in this game, and aggressive tri-lane, so this game is already going to ramp up to be very exciting.
Yeah, I think this bottom lane, the 1v1 between the Doom and the Furion, is going to be relatively even. I think Doom does okay in that lane. Yeah, this top tri lane is going to be interesting. I think actually, Claws of Attack +9 will actually come ahead. This tri lane.
I actually was
Is-
thinking the exact same thing.
I don't think the Enigma can really rotate until. I mean, at 2 he can rotate, but what is he really going to do unless the supports really misstep and get way too far to the right of the lane? But Skywrath did place down an Observer ward almost on top of the Dire ward, so they both had vision of the same area.
And they did not block the pull camp, so Skywrath is going to have access to that. It's going to pull the lane back, but honestly speaking, in some way, that's kind of what this lane would like. They're going to just start right-clicking this tower down with both the Precision Aura on the Jakiro and the Witch Doctor, but also that Liquid Fire that we've talked about the last few games that we've been seeing Jakiro and Drow Ranger taking a little bit of harass from the Viper. Infinity already doing much better in that lane, up 2 last hits as well as 4 denies, so that'll start to snowball a little bit. And, you know, honestly, so far, this is kind of how it should go. The Night Stalker, or not the Night Stalker, the Nature's Prophet is dominating the Doom in a lot of ways, but as the levels begin to increase for Doom, he should level up that lane. And top T1 already down to 629 HP, and an early tower like this can make a big difference.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they are valuing pushing the tower over the XP that would be prevented by warding that camp. But I think it is the right choice. I think they need to get a little bit of an advantage in terms of gold. I think they're already going to be losing on XP just with a Lust team picking up the Enigma and having a jungler. But yeah, I think they can easily push this down, and then the jungle becomes really unsafe for Sna on this Enigma. You know, once they've lost that tier 1 top, how do you really protect this Enigma? Like, yeah, you've got an Observer ward at the top rune, but that's not going to stop smokes. That's not going to stop anything. Like, once the creep wave has pushed past the safety that your Observer ward below the tier 1 has given you, I don't know.
No, I completely agree with you, and that's something that Lust has got to start thinking about as a team. If they don't do anything to stop this or have a contingency for after this tower falls, then the game control and the tempo is going to go in Claws of Attack. And despite experience, you know, sometimes when a team gets ahead, you don't need that experience. But here we go. They are going to rotate in, silence and stun onto Juggernaut. 1 more second until he's going to be able to get that spin, and he does get the spin. Right clicks are not enough to finish him up, as they do have the healing coming both out of the Juggernaut. And oh, but he runs back in and gets first blooded. A little bit of a mistake there. And then immediately the Enigma gets another kill. So Claws of Attack making a questionable decision. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. And Degenerate's going to TP in, and they might be even to clean up. Yeah, they clean up the third as the trees were able to block him in there, and he wasn't able to get out. So a little bit of experience definitely showing there from Lust, as you know, you were pointing it out. They need to do something and they did. They sent out the Enigma, something we'd been talking about. Executed very well, but honestly, Claws of Attack I think just kind of fed back into them there instead of disengaging and accepting the fact that the defensive tri-lane had just tried to stop with the inevitable. But maybe they'll get a turnaround here, as Juggernaut still does have access to the spin and phase boots, but he's not going to choose to dive here, which honestly might be a questionable decision, considering as the commentators we know that there are no one in position from the Dire team or Lust to defend 7s. So maybe a little bit of a questionable play there, but 3 kills go in favor of Lust, and the tower will be low health as they'll be able to push that. And you know, Doom is getting the same amount of pressure, so sometimes games can end where you're 20 kills ahead and you just lost the game, and this might be one of them if they don't stop the pressure coming out, and they will. TP out Degenerate saves his global so he can get there to defend top, does have a phase boots as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that Lust
is actually going to get stunned really quickly, as they did try to dive on this tower. The Ice Path comes out onto the Wraith King TP, but it does end as Wraith King does finally get the TP and spin to dodge that. The Snaw does come in as well as gets the Malefice onto the Witch Doctor. He does have that healing up, so he is getting healed for quite a bit continually here. They do have the Ice Path here to come stall people out, but Witch Doctor should fall here. Teleport in from the Nature's Prophet, gets a great sprout, hits both of them, but the concussive shot as well to hit Juggernaut. Not going to be enough to finish this off, as they will switch this into their own pressure into the lane, but honestly I don't think they can, given the fact that this is a double melee creep wave, and maybe they could summon Eidolons, but that'd be a lot of waste of experience. And I believe that even though Claws of Attack has sacrificed these few heroes, they could still come out on this ahead. But the golden experience graph is really dictating Lust's favor right now.
Yeah, Team Lust did a good job of using the HP of that tier 1 tower as a resource. They knew that Claws of Attack was trying to push down that tower early, and they just used it to buy time, wait for them to commit a little bit further, and then Enigma made the first rotation over, and we saw that first blood. And then the second time, they knew that they were going to try to push and finish that tower off, and once again, they used that opportunity to come in behind and stop them. So there's been 2 pushes on that tier 1 tower, so they effectively traded that tier 1 tower for 4 deaths, which I don't think is a worthwhile trade at all. But, you know, they've rotated mid, now they're trying to put pressure on mid.
And with only 1 point in Corrosive Skin, they can do quite a bit of damage with magical still, but he does have 3 points into his poison attack and will be able to zone them out. And honestly, they do have good damage if they get onto towers, but the problem right now, Infinity diving onto the Chikiro a little bit, as he does have both the poison attack and the corrosive skin ticking him down. But Claws of Attack can get on a tower, or sorry, they can't get on a tower, but if they do, they deal a ton of damage, and that's really the power of Lust right now, is they can stop them from getting onto these towers. Incoming Snaw with the Malefice is going to be able to stun up Draw Ranger here. They do throw out the concussive shot, only hits the Juggernaut, as they do spread apart pretty effectively there, but they will use the Viper Strike onto Juggernaut as the ulti is in, or as the spin is ending, and with the Black Hole they hit onto the Juggernaut. That's going to allow them to clean him up. Does get the Drow Ranger as well, and now Infinity is diving after Thicket Tower, dealing quite a bit of damage, but he does have a lot of health with that Headdress Aquila as well as the Treads, and they will get 3 kills without any answers, and now they'll pressure their own T1, and this will be 2 towers down, but 1 tower in favor of Lust, and with 7 kills on the board in favor of them, that 1 tower for Claws of Attack is looking increasingly less impactful.
Yeah, that was just a really good fight for Team Lust there. And I said, look at that confidence when you saw Infinity go,
we'll try to go on
a serious path.
Yep.
But a lot of players, like Infinity was getting pretty low as he pushed past the tier 1 there, and he got low. A lot of players, I think, would have just gone and got the hell out of there, but he just stayed and knew he had that zone between the 2 towers and just, you know, cleaned up the kill. But right prior to that fight, I was looking at the CS, and it's gone a little skewed now. But we had Furion and Doom, effectively 1 CS apart, and they're actually even right now. We had Wraith King and Juggernaut on exactly the same CS. The only difference in this game was obviously the 4 kills that have on top, but the middle lane has been very, very lopsided. You got Viper at 48 and 21 versus a Drow at 14 and 2. So this Drow has fallen really, really far behind in terms of CS in the laning phase.
Yeah, and she only has that Aquila, the Aquila ring, whereas that Viper, as I was saying, does have that Treads and the Headdress on top of that. Bottom tower will start to take quite a bit of damage, but Roshan falls, as they do have that double minion summon to help take it down, and concussive shot to help stall this out. It's down to 30 HP. They will throw the fort at exactly 83 HP. The Prophet ult will bounce through, as well as the silence onto Doom, taking quite a bit of damage. Jakiro does get the final hit on the tower, but Snaz coming in with the Midnight Pulse, as well as the Malefice, might be enough to get the kill on Thicket, as he does try to one array, but he is doomed. The Aegis on him, allowing him to sacrifice his life, wasting the Doom in a lot of ways. And to be fair, when you're up 9-0, or 9-0, I would not be at all upset about sacrificing an Aegis for a 3-minute cooldown. And Cass goes out in middle lane as Degenerate is low, but they're not going to be able to get him. Maybe they will, because he did eat that stun. They're maybe baiting it in Infinity. Great plays, knowing that Lokarn wanted that kill on Degenerate knowing they wanted that kill, and playing a little bit of mind games there. And you can really start to see the experience from Lush showing up. And I had a lot of hope for Claws of Attack, but right now they just seem to be falling apart to the pressure and the experience coming out of Bananas or Lust, as they do dive Megaphone bottom lane. He does have the Medallion on him, as well as the right clicks with the Arcane Bolt. Will drop low. They do throw down the Mystic Flare, and that should be enough to clean him up down to 140 HP with the last Arcane Bolt. Sna does live as well, popping that salve, staying out of tower range, and will be able to TP out if he chooses to. And they're even pressuring top lane during all of this as well.
Yeah, pretty much everyone on Team Lust is just doing a really good job of recognizing the situation that they're in, how much damage is potentially coming out. You see all these engagements. Team Lust, every hero on their team is getting low, but they're not dying. And that's why, you know, Claws of Attack +9, they don't even have a kill yet. But it's not for trying. Like, they've gotten a lot of heroes really low. I saw in that mid fight before Jug came in from the side, it was Furion attacking the Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor got him down to 60-something.
They are going to actually start to cut you off. We do have two TPing in the bottom lane, and they do get the Black Hole off. Enigma down to barely any HP, does go down 2 for 1 at this point, as the Juggernaut does go in with the spin, but the Concussive Knot does go through BKB if you get it before the BKB goes off. And now the kill on the Skywrath Mage. They might be able to turn this around. They do use the teleport. Is it going to be enough? No. The double crit coming out from Juggernaut is going to be enough. And
he actually ulted there.
He did ult there. Okay,
he
so
ulted
that
to make sure.
Okay, he ulted to make sure. I did not see that. So interesting build out of the Juggernaut too. Something we could touch base on in a little bit. But those 3 kills desperately needed. But they're gonna also lose top lane. And you know, sure they lost 2 supports and a Prophet, but when you're down 13 kills and you're getting pressured all over the map, and their team is farming with a stronger late game lineup, you gotta ask yourself at what cost. And they're gonna have to start to think about grouping up here and going for not a, you know, all-in death push, but they're gonna have to start getting things done as a team. And maybe this is it, as Seven does get caught out. He does have his Aegis still up, has not actually died this entire game yet, does throw out the stun onto Thicket with the cast coming out as from Witch Doctor. The Doom goes on to Viper, but that's gonna consistently deal damage to Doom. Actually, it doesn't, because it disables it. I should know this. And the stun goes out onto Witch Doctor. He will survive. Seven also still alive, not having to use that Aegis yet. Lokern, as well as Ace in the vicinity. They do use the Gust as well as the Frost Arrows, but he gets immediately Mystic Flare down. Drow Ranger falling during that, and we will also get the Ward sniped out by Nature's Prophet. But again, just they can't seem to kill anyone when the Dire side groups up, and if the Dire side has a lineup that wants to group up and you can't kill them, it's one of those rock and a hard place situations again. Cast will go out by Witch Doctor as the concussive shot. This will probably just be posturing, but looks like Jakiro wants to commit, throwing out the Ice Path as well as the Liquid Fire, but Wraith King just doesn't care. He's just zoning for his team. They're damaging the tower. 3 range heroes continually beating on it as the Treants are taking. They will pop the Scorched Earth as they want to run in. Does use the Hadouken, but it does miss all the heroes, and they get the stun as well as the silence onto Megaphone. He's taking quite a bit of damage. Wraith King goes down, but he still does have the Aegis, and Doom will fall. Wraith King does revive here with the cask actually bouncing really unluckily between both Seven and Degenerate, but now Wraith King in range for that stun. It will hit on Sleeping Joey. They get the Ice Path onto 2 heroes, and now in comes Enigma. Drops that Midnight Pulse, zoning them out as they will be able to focus down this creep wave with both of the summons. They could push this lane with the Witch Doctor. Casket might be enough to slow them down, but I don't think it'll be, and this tower should fall.
Yeah, they're just playing their advantage right now. They can push up that far past their tier 2, just zone control, and just wait for their creep wave to come, wait for their summons to be off cooldown, and just push a tower. They have no real threat right now. They've shown that they can't die. They somehow can keep staying alive in these team fights. Last team fight, the 2 lowest heroes were Viper and Wraith King. And Wraith King still had his ultimate, and Viper, as soon as the Doom wore off, he just used his mech.
Definitely, and we might see another engagement here as Cast is thrown out, as well as Concussive Shot. Doom slowed up, using that Devour to clear up that creep under the tower. And again, I think it's a really interesting build we're seeing from Juggernaut not maxing his Blade Fury. I really...
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because, honestly, early on in the game, you really want that Blade Fury for the damage, but Thicket might be able to get Degenerate here, as he does throw an Ice Path, but Degenerate with that double null, and now building up, it looks like, into a Blade Mail. Interesting decision making there. We'll be able to pretty much solo the Jakiro anyways if the Jakiro tries to commit. We'll just push that lane back, but while they're sitting there trying to gank the Nature's Prophet, who should be able to just TP away here, his Cask was used. They don't have a follow-up stun, but Infinity, with that Blink Dagger mech, is going to go ahead and blink in and go in on this. Megaphone still has the Doom to throw, as they do get the Ice Path onto Degenerate. He does still have enough mana to TP, but they throw out the Doom as well as the Omni Slash. They get the Prophet, and Infinity standing his ground even while doomed. They know 7's coming in. They both get pushed back here. The Blink Black Hole to hit on 3 heroes is going to be cancelled by a Cask. Great play by the Witch Doctor. Cask continuing to bounce as the Juggernaut spins away, and that Midnight Pulse dealing a lot of damage to the Radiant team. In the background, Lust is taking a lot of damage from the dot damage, but they get the Drought Ranger as the dire side is able to get the numbers advantage over here, but the Witch Doctor throws out the Cask and the ult, but the silence from the Lust in the background is going to be enough to stop up that Death Ward. And now Thicket, caught between 2 heroes, is going to get focused down here. The Witch Doctor, knowing he can't save his teammate, is going to TP out, and now Lokarn, with no mana for a TP, 5 seconds away, might get picked off here, but honestly, the dire side might just choose to push down middle here as they do ping it out into the secret shop. Prophet's going top, but he will TP out in the middle of the river and get away. But again, they could just TP or push down this lane and get the last T2.
Yeah, that team fight started actually okay with them when they used the Jug ult and they got the kill. But I think maybe they forced it a little too much. The whole reason that they had the Jakiro standing mid and they were posturing around mid was because Jakiro was 200 away from mech. Luckily enough, at the relatively, as soon as they got the kill with the Jug ult, the Jakiro needed the 50 or so gold that he needed at that point to get the max, so he was able to push.
Degenerate does activate that Blade Mail in top lane. Sorry to cut you off. Frost Arrow's going out onto Wraith King as he doesn't have the Aegis. He will fall, and Degenerate playing a little bit of cocky there, building that Blade Mail, not helping his teammate at all once he ran away, and it's not going to lose them the game, it's not going to throw them the game, but if they make too many of these mistakes and make too many cocky errors, you know, sometimes you can throw a game away to a team that you think is worse than you, so we'll see what Claw, or Claws of Attack is going to be able to do here, because they're going to need to take advantage of these situations and opportunities that the, you know, overbearingness from Team Lust is bringing, but at the same time, they're going to have to work well as a team to capitalize on them.
Yeah,
Bottom lane, Juggernaut will get away, I think.
The biggest problem right now is Radiant needs to take over control of their jungle again. They've lost.
Ace, sorry to cut you off again, but Ace will get picked off in the middle lane as they throw down Midnight Pulse as well as that Maledict. Sorry, go ahead and finish your point, Niz. Oh, no, man, sorry. I mean to be sorry again, as Doom does get concussive shot. This might turn into another kill for Staff. On to 7, plus the drum pop. They do get the blink from the Viper into the Viper Strike. Will be enough to slow them. They throw down the Skywrath Silent as well as the Mystic Flare. Now they're going on to Thicket, as the stun will bounce between the Witch Doctor cast, but Thicket is not going to have enough HP to survive this, and now Team Lust on the precipice of high ground is going to be able to kill the Witch Doctor. He does use his ult, but gets silenced up immediately, and now Lokarn caught out in his base. Infinity blinking back deep into the base and might be able to get this kill as he does. Infinity not going to stop there, going to continue on to Ace. 7 is there with him, and that's a rampage. Infinity absolutely insane in this game with this Blink Dagger going.
Well deserved.
Yeah,
Well
no,
deserved,
seriously,
right?
11, 0, and 5. Just great body box. Great item pickup considering the pace of the game they want to do, and great play. And this will be the first Rax, if not the GG.
I'm a player that loves Blink on Viper, but that was all Infinity. Him picking up that Blink and him blinking in, slowing that Doom. That Doom would have been fine if Viper didn't have Blink. But he did. He had Blink. He hopped in, popped the Viper Strike on him, and they got the Doom, and unfortunately the mech was a little slow from the Jakiro.
Sorry to cut you off, but we will have another dive in by 7 as he does have his ultimate now. Doom does go on to Infinity, but Wraith King sacrifices himself for that 75% slow, and now Juggernaut throws out the ulti, but his attack speed is too slow to do any damage. They're kiting him around as the Doom is still on Infinity, but now the Black Hole catches 2 heroes. Great silence coming out of Ace to stop that Black Hole, as well as the Viper Strike onto Lowcrown, taking quite a bit of damage. They still have the healing ward up, and Infinity getting low. Double Ice Path, as well as the Witch Doctor cast dealing quite a bit of damage. Snaw getting hit up by that Frost Arrow, as well as the Liquid Fire is going to be enough to finish him off. Buyback from Infinity, however, they still want to continue this pressure. And top T2 is going to go down as Degenerate TPs into the lane, dealing quite a bit of damage to that tower and eventually dropping it. Maybe they could try to go for a gank here, but Degenerate is going to get out of there before they can get any collateral. And maybe that fight went okay for Claws of Attack, but Rax is down.
That was actually weird. Infinity had his mech up that whole time, including when he died there. He just didn't use his mech.
Did he die? He didn't die in Doom, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he died after Doom, so he could have used it.
But yeah, that engage earlier mid was just, you know, the blink, the pick off the Doom, and then they got the Jakiro and they got everyone, and it ended up in a rampage just because of that initiate, or that first pick off of the Doom just kind of sucked the rest of the Claws of Attack +9 into the team fight.
And they are aware this rush is going on, but there's nothing they can do about it.
But the whole reason why that happened was getting back to saying that they need to take over their jungle. They were that far pushed out in the mid lane because they had nowhere else to go. They can't go into their jungle. All they can go is mid lane.
Well, the smart thing to do is smoke up here and go for a pick. Sorry to cut you off, Niz. And honestly, great reaction from Lust. As soon as that smoke popped that concussive shot, and honestly a little bit of a mistake coming out from Claws of Attack because they were grouped up together, so when that concussive shot hit the first target, it slowed the entire team, preventing the chase. And it does do AoE damage, so it canceled any potential blink daggers, but I don't think they have any up to my knowledge, so yeah. No blink daggers from them.
Are they actually going to go for the push here with Black Hole on cooldown for another 65 seconds?
Honestly, I think they can because Infinity, look at, he has an S and Y, he's tanky. They still have 23 seconds, but 7 gonna blink in, immediately go on to Megaphone. They get the silence as well as the Mystic Flare, gonna finish him off. Meanwhile, towards the bottom of the fight, Infinity goes straight on to the Witch Doctor, gets him focused down. Degenerate pops that Blade Mail and just stands and fight. His Thicket is getting really low, taking damage from the Midnight Pulse. The Omni Slash comes out onto the Doomed Viper, but he will still survive down to 260 HP. Might still live as there is no tower. Juggernaut chasing him down. We'll continue to check up on that as the rest of the team is getting cleaned up next to their fountain, and Infinity will survive, gets the wand charges off, doesn't have the mech up still, but does survive, and Lokern out of position, not able to defend his base, and now maybe Infinity could turn this as they do. As no, Lokern makes the smart play, does TP away, but honestly, in this situation, 7 just sacrificing himself, getting back up full life so he can push, and there's nothing they can do to stop this. This should be a second set of racks. Black Hole is going to be up in a second, and considering how that fight went with the Black Hole, there we go, 7 blinking in again, doesn't have his Aegis this time, of course, as he sacrificed himself to get that life back up. A Viper Strike onto Thicket, as well as the focus onto Sleeping Joey. They're taking quite a bit of damage, but the Death Ward goes down, but the stun cancels it. Aegis popped on the Nature's Prophet. Snob blinks in with a great Black Hole, hitting them, catching off the Dry Ranger, preventing her to exit into the fountain, and that should be the entire team down. And with the entire team down, 2 more racks, if not the entire base, and that should be the end of this game, unfortunately. Is Lust honestly just executing brilliantly as a team and letting their experience shine through.
It's just the aggression coming out of them. You know, we've talked about in previous games of having abilities that they can really, either a big body or zone controlling abilities to protect a fragile hero that wants to stand in the back like a Drow. But as you're seeing in these team fights, they're just getting rushed down, they're getting overrun, and some of that is the fact that Team Lust has 3 blink daggers. They have 3 blink daggers, they have 2 push sticks, they have a Rod of Atos. You're not getting away from these guys.
Nope.
They're rushing at you, they're jumping on you, and they're slowing you and stunning you. And
Malefice onto Megaphone as they do get the Mystic Flare to finish off that kill. Onto Niz's point, 3 people blinking in, Thicket going down low, as well as Ace. They're going to just dive the fountain here. Ace might barely survive with the healing ward as well as right quicks, but Infinity says no, I want the kill, dives into the fountain, does get killed. A little bit of an overzealous move there, but at this point in the game, when you're up 38-9, it might feel like a pub to them to some respect, but you know, they're having fun with it, and they just want to win this game and enjoy it at the same time. Unfortunately for Claws of Attack, a lot of what they need to take from this game is, as most of this is just going to be, oh, maybe it's not, a little overextending here, but the stun from Wraith King, great timing. The spin, of course, from Juggernaut has been well timed this entire game. Well, they will just zone them back as they continue to chunk away their racks, and right when I want to try to say something else, Lust is going to dive back in with that Force Staff. Sna taking the Witch Doctor stun as well as the Wraith King, and they do throw out the Witch Doctor. Will get multiple kills, but at this point it's a little too late as in the top lane. It might be there. Is actually Degenerate caught out too, but he just turns around and attacks and pops all of his right clicks with that Maelstrom. Degenerate might actually go down to the Lokern as he gets the right click, and Lust diving hard continually. They're never giving up here. Team Lust or Team Bananas does not want to give up on these kills. They are diving and diving. Degenerate buys back, TP's in, gets the Sprout off onto Lokern. Arcane Bolts are going to be enough to finish off Doom. Though they do get the Ice Path as well as the Micropyre onto Degenerate, taking quite a bit of damage, and Lokern still alive. Does not want to die, and that might be enough to finally clean up the game as Sleeping Joey is caught out outside of the base. Lust and Sna surrounding him. Bots coming in here from Infinity as he blinks in immediately with that Viper Strike to finish off Thicket. And what I was trying to say before that buyback and just non-stop action happened, I feel like, honestly, what Claws of Attack needs to take from this game is that you need to have preconceived strategies. Like, yeah, they took that tower, but they never had a idea of, well, what if the enemy team knows we're going to take the tower? What if they let us take that tower? Or they use the HP of that tower, like you were saying, as an asset to time when they want to fight. And they need to be thinking on that same level if they're going to kind of take on a team like Lust. So I think for me personally, what Claws of Attack needs to take from this is that they have the skill. We saw definitely in some of those engagements when it was even footing, they were able to dance perfectly fine with Lust, but just the experience and precognition of the strategy from Lust was able to carry them through to victory this game.
I feel like they had potential to do what they were trying to do. They just maybe chose the wrong heroes to do it. And when you're playing against a team like as experienced as Team Lust here, they just responded to the fact that Claws of Attack +9, they went aggressive. And then they didn't ward the pull. They were showing that they wanted to push down the tower, and they just bought time with the HP on that tower, and then engaged at the right time and walked away with 4 kills and an early lead. And then just kind of snowballed from there.
Fair enough. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We will get into the next game. Shout out to Goofy. New drinking game every single time me and Niz say, honestly, you guys take a shot, you guys will probably pass out by the end of the next cast, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. But shout out to Goofy and all you guys chatting in the chat. I appreciate it. If you're enjoying Niz's commentary, please check out his Twitch /Nizcast, as well as his Twitter @Nizcast. If you're enjoying this stream or our commentary together, please follow this stream, my YouTube or my Twitter, to stay updated with us, as we will upload these as VODs, and my Twitter will tell you guys when we start casting. That being said, we will get you guys the next game as soon as possible here. Please stay tuned. And I appreciate all of you guys tuning in, and can't wait to see you guys in the next game.